What's up, Wisconsin? Welcome back to the Inside Wisconsin show here on YouTube and everywhere you listen to podcasts. Remember, click subscribe. Trevor Thomas, John Anderson of ESPN fame. J.A., yes. I didn't realize that there was a whole Bayport Southwest thing, but we're going to learn about that with Alec Ingold on the show today.
Well, I don't know if there's a thing, right? I think Southwest and West in Green Bay high schools is still a thing, and West probably would say we just want to be East. But Bayport has sort of become this, they're good at everything, right? It's disgusting. They become kind of the trendy place to go, and people are moving out in the suburbs. They're not winning everything because we know Rob Domofsky's, De Pere Redbirds, they want to travel too. But Bayport just seems to excel at a bunch of stuff. And against the Trojans a few weeks ago, they excelled a little too much.
Yeah, we'll learn more about that. So, well, our boy Wes Hodkiewicz sums this guy up best. Alec Ingold, the greatest wrestler to ever come out of Bayport High School. And, he's in the NFL with the Miami Dolphins. Let's jump in. Yeah, Alec,
you seem really enamored with the wrestling thing.
I think I have a personal connection that you'll hear about to the whole wrestling side of Alec's life. However, I think that's a really hard gig. And this is one thing that I'm curious on. I don't know if we mentioned it or not, knowing that we just talked to Alec and now we're doing this. Is wrestling and high school football the same season?
No, I think wrestling's a winter sport.
Okay, I don't know. I
know that
there must be a weird overlap with late practice or something like that. But I am enamored because I don't think wrestling's very easy and it's a solo sport, right? I know you have a team, but real good at it. We'll learn more about that. All right, here we go. Alec Ingold on the Inside Wisconsin Show.
The Inside Wisconsin Show is brought to you by American Family Insurance, Aaron's Company, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, Capital Credit Union, Festival Foods, Quick Trip, Miller Lite, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, Provea Health, and the University of Wisconsin-Platteville.
Hey, remember to subscribe on YouTube, leave a review, smash the like button, just get with us. He's with us in person, well, kind of, on the digitals. That's Miami Dolphin and Northeast Wisconsin alum. We'll get to it. Alec Ingold, what's up, man? Thanks for coming on the Inside Wisconsin Show.
I love it. We're thriving. It's sunny all the time here. Parents cannot wait. So I told them they made the mistake last year. They came down for the home opener in September. And Wisconsin people down here in September, you will melt. In Hard Rock Stadium is 95 degrees. It was a tough one, so we're waiting until October till the family can come down. We're cooling off a little bit, mid-80s. But we're doing all right, man. How are you guys?
Mid-80s here, by the way. I'm not sure what it is to John, but it's mid-80s in Northeast Wisconsin back home. It's nuts.
It is. The fall is glorious here in Connecticut. It is not like South Beach. The leaves are turning. It is crisp mornings and 70s. So you're a little short in a sweatshirt afternoon. It's great. But, enjoy the Miami, Aren't you due for a rainstorm here in a few minutes?
Yeah, and then it'll be done in about 5 minutes after that, and then we'll just kind of go back and forth. That's how it rolls.
So outside of the weather, which is sort of obvious, give me the most glaring differences between South Beach and Northeast Wisconsin.
I would say there's more empanadas down here than cheese curds. I think that would be the fried food down here is just different. You never know what you're getting in that situation there. But no, I think people are down here are good. You kind of get in your own routines, own habits. But yeah, man, enjoying every single second of it, trying to find your own routines that kind of bring slices of home back. If that makes sense.
But do you ever walk down the street and you see something and you're like, that is so quintessential Miami, and I could walk around Green Bay and Swamico for a decade and never see that?
I think the biggest change for me was the palm trees. Like, you're used to going down to Disney World or traveling somewhere, you see palm trees, you feel great, you get this adrenaline rush of like, man, this is going to be great weather, sunshine, whatever. And now it's like you just you lose that atmosphere of like excitement around the palm trees. And then we have one in our front yard and it fell down and hit my car the other morning. So now I'm kind of like, palm trees are kind of enemy number one on the list right now. So they've fallen really hard on my power rankings lately.
Wow. So you're living a State Farm commercial.
You said what?
You're living a State Farm commercial.
Literally, yeah. And I'm not in good hands. That's all State, not State Farm. Same thing.
We suggest American Family. We'll get to that. Anyway, from the winter of Wisconsin to the desert of Las Vegas and now Miami. Are you missing winter, or do you come home when the NFL season is done?
Yeah, I mean, my wife and I will take a trip up to Green Bay pretty much as soon as the season's over. So head out to the Super Bowl, and so mid-February you're already back and going visiting friends, family, relatives, as many people as you've missed out on seeing the past 6 months. So I have not, in my 5 years in the NFL, learned to just like wait until like April or May to come back. I need to like do it as soon as possible. So yeah, February, it's sleety, it's slushy, it's all that. So I'm pretty much back there every winter, and I haven't really missed one since probably ever in Wisconsin. It's just being cold. There's something about it. You gotta love it.
I don't know if you got to love it. I try to pick my spots when I go home now. Like, I'm not sure that I'm like,
just bite-sized pieces of it.
Yeah,
I can leave in a week. You know, I don't have to endure the months of the cold.
Right. So when you come home and you see family and friends and all those people, what is that like now that you're an NFL guy? Because I know when I come home, I like it because just people go, oh, look, there's just the dude. They don't care where I work. They don't care anything about it. They're just like, let's go out. You know, the other day when I was home, I'm at the Golden Basket with my high school buddy, just eating breakfast, and nobody gives two hoots. What is it like when you return?
There's a balance. When you're around family, you are getting all of the crap that has just been saved up from all of the family trash talk for a whole year, and you get it in like these slices. It's really dense, but it's the most fun times ever. It's when you're laughing the hardest with family. You miss them so much. Distance makes the heart grow fonder. So definitely with the family, man, you just start getting roasted because it's been 6 months of content that they just can't wait to throw at you as soon as you sit down and all having dinners or whatever that is. And then out in public, I think it's awesome just being able to run into anybody you see, old teachers, coaches, family members. You pretty much run into somebody anywhere you're at, whether it's Anduzzi's or Hagmeister or whatever. You're going to run into somebody and have a cool conversation. So I think that's always the fun part about it, because you get the accent back really fast. You start talking with the O's and the OU's, and it gets good.
You can never lose it. Let's be honest. So as you grew up here in Northeast Wisconsin, Swamico area, right? We all do all the sports, the baseball, the soccer, the football, the basketball. And the wrestling clearly with you, but when did it really start to change and go, you know, I'm pretty good at the football thing and the wrestling thing, and this is going to do something for me?
I mean, when you get into high school, I think that was really the focal point of kind of turning into, all right, where are you going to focus all your efforts and energies? And honestly, one of the biggest regrets I ever had was missing out on a couple of years of baseball as a senior. You know, I ended up going back out my senior year for baseball, and I tell any kid that's in high school, play as many sports as you can. Just learn the different ways to compete, different teammates, different body positions, body mechanics. Like, find ways to compete, have fun at that level, because I missed out on a couple years of baseball, like I said, and still to this day, I just miss out on some of that stuff. But I remember the recruiting process. My dad was a collegiate wrestler at Northern Michigan, and starting to get calls from wrestling and football, and we're trying to field it and figure out, all right, we're going to go into this football thing or the wrestling thing. And he just like had to sit me down. He's like, Alec, I'm going to let you know, as a past collegiate All-American wrestler, he's like, dude, it's going to be 8 times harder than anything you're going to do in football. And nobody's going to show up and watch. Nobody's going to show up and cheer. Like, go do the football thing and see how that works out for you. So took dad's advice. Still a huge wrestling fan. I love what Chris Bono and John Reeder are doing with the Badger program right now. I follow along as much as I can with all of the sports.
About the recruiting process, and since you brought up, I just thought I'm going to look at this. Do you remember this letter? Dear Coach, my name is Alec Ingold, and I am a sophomore at Bayport High School. The past football season, I received first-team all-conference, first-team all-region as a running back. I scored 22 touchdowns last season, which tied for the most in D1. What a braggart. I will be playing quarterback next season, as well as some defense. My schooling is also very important to me. I am a high honor student involved in advanced math and science classes. I'm goal-driven, willing to work to reach my fullest potential. I've been class president, kudos to you, the past 2 years, and enjoy the challenge of being a leader on and off the field. To be able to compete in D1A or D1 AA, because let's be honest, bowl subdivision and championships, very complicated, is my goal. But I am still open to D2 and D3 schools. I appreciate you taking time to look at my profile and hope to hear from you soon. Do you remember writing that?
It sounds like, one of the recruiting platforms that I would hop in on, and I would send messages to coaches, just trying to get any looks anywhere.
And how many people vied for your services when the letters started coming in?
I mean, when I was sending that letter out, how many people were ringing?
In general, by the time it became serious, if you wrote that as a sophomore, that's not when guys are beating down your door.
Right. North Dakota State was the first one. And they got serious. There's good relationships with the coaching staffs from my high school, and they recruit Wisconsin heavy. I mean, and it's great to see how successful they are with that. But once North Dakota State really started showing interest my junior year, things really kicked off. But I mean, there was a huge waiting period, probably a full year after those letters were going out, where it was crickets, man. There was nobody calling, reaching out. So I just had to wait my turn and get better at lifting weights and playing football.
And wrestling, right? So you talked about high school when this whole, like, you had a little bit of a, I don't know, sport identity crisis. Like, you almost didn't do wrestling, but then you almost didn't do football, yet they both worked out really well for you. So what was that like?
I mean, the whole wrestling scenario I wasn't questioning wrestling or not wrestling until that senior year, where you have the scholarship offer, the dream offer to Wisconsin, and everyone's talking, okay, you've gotten hurt in the past with wrestling. All the injuries have come from wrestling. Might not want to do that when you head down to Madison. Like, let's just call it quits, call it good, thumbs up, and just get ready for football. And it was kind of one of those things, like, my dad won a state championship. I knew I was capable of winning a state championship. So I wanted to go through that test. I wanted to go through those trials and see if I could really make it out on the other side. A full season of wrestling, start to finish, is an accomplishment in itself. Like, anybody that has finished a full season of wrestling, kudos to you, hats off. That's an accomplishment. And I just knew that there was a ceiling and something out there to get that I'd never accomplished before. So that was the challenge, to kind of finish off the high school career off on a high note, so to speak. And yeah, man, it's crazy when you get into the results-based thing, because I wasn't really focused on the process of getting better and improving. I was really result-oriented, and it's been 180 degrees since then, and finding success in the process now.
Listen, your wife probably is glad you don't have cauliflower ears, that you gave it up when it came through. Did you wear pins and everything when you'd pin? Did you do that?
I have the craziest pin hat ever. Yeah. From like 3rd to like 8th grade, I crushed that. And then I really wanted cauliflower ear, so I wouldn't wear headgear, and I would just try and like get it, because I thought that would make you look cool, and didn't end up succeeding in that task.
Not so much.
Wife, right? But like, nothing gives people away faster than you wrestled. Then you look at that guy and go, oh, okay, so good. How was the wrestling?
Exactly. Yeah. If you have cauliflower ear and a UFC shirt on, like, stay away. Like,
wrong guy to pick a fight with.
Oh yeah. And I always laugh at, like, as much as people in football, it's everybody wants to build newer football facilities and better locker rooms and so. And the wrestling coach is like, don't build me anything too nice. I really need something sort of dungeon looking, and maybe a bike. And I need a thermostat that breaks at 92, right? Like, it's completely the opposite.
You want as much grit in the room as possible. Like, if we can infuse as much grit, sweat, hard work as possible, that's a successful wrestling room. And let's, like, the tradition stays there. You don't need a whole lot. And it's like, dude, bring your shoes, bring a headgear, and let's get to work for 2.5 hours. Like, there's no escaping the hard work in a wrestling room. So there's no hiding from it. And that's what I loved about it.
And so I look because these are just crazy things that fascinate me. So in high school, you're like 210. You go to the combine, you're like 240. Why do I feel like you wrestled at like 156? Because like, that's what they do,
I cut weight my freshman year, and I went down to like 3% body fat. That was like the one and only time I cut weight. That was, man, I was eating an apple for lunch and a Nutri-Grain bar in the middle of a wrestling practice just to get through it. And you work out after school, and then you go home, you're running, you're sweating. Man, I have no idea how I did it, how those guys continuously do it, because, I lose sectional. I lose in sectional, so I don't move up to state at 152. I cut weight to 155 with the weight allowance or whatever. Within a month, I was 195. Like I put on 40 pounds, and it was just like it just appeared. Like just sandwiches, like it wasn't hard work. It just kind of showed up, and then I was 195 up until my senior year. I went up to 220.
Yeah, 150 something to 220. It sounds like the last 10 years of my life, frankly. Yeah. So let's a little bit more on this wrestling thing. Yeah, you're in the NFL. We'll get to that, and Raiders and Dolphins and all that. But you won a state championship at Bayport your senior year. We have a mutual friend. I spent 20 minutes on the phone today with Andy Kasich. And in case you don't know, Andy Kasich, by the way, John, fellow Pink Flamingo. I wore this in his honor today. He told me some stuff, man, about your senior year, which I think came to full fruition in your book, The Seven Crucibles, right? Can you talk about how much of a grind your senior year of wrestling was and how close you were to not doing it?
Andy Kasich, we're gonna get into that whole story. Shout out to Pink Flamingos, though. That's what a shout out. What a shirt. I've always admired from afar. Anyways, yeah, Andy Kasich came in my junior year, and he is absolute like dominant wrestler, right? Black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, absolute stud. And he came in to help work with the heavier weights. We're a really good, talented wrestling team, and he came in to really push us. And my junior year, I avoided Andy like Noah. Like I wasn't ready to get put in uncomfortable situations. I avoided it. I didn't like it. I just wanted to win. I wanted to get the pins. I wanted to feel good, pats on the back, and then go back out and just do it again. That senior year, when I made that decision, we talked about that a little earlier on coming back, trying to accomplish that state championship. I'd fallen short a couple times already at the Kohl Center. I really wanted to end up on top. And there was a moment where we're in a practice and it's a Wednesday and our conference dual meets are on Thursday. I don't know if we're wrestling against Southwest or West Southwest or whatever the situation is, but I wasn't going to have a match. It was going to be a forfeit, whatever. So everyone else is cutting weight. They're running halls. They're doing their stuff. And Kasich and I are just one-on-one in the wrestling room, and we're working out. And you call these things grind matches where you go for 45 minutes to an hour straight. No breaks, no water breaks, no fancy equipment. It's just a couple guys, the wrestling mat, your shoes, tape, that's it. And we're just going after it. And I never really took Andy Kasich down. Like, he would allow me to get through some of the technique and go through the body mechanics. But if he was really on one, like I wasn't messing with the dude. Like we're on completely different worlds, of stratospheres of skill level. And I kind of took him down pretty much for the first time when he probably didn't let me. And I let him hear about it. I was chirping him a little bit. I cut him up. I'm talking all this trash or whatever. And he turned the intensity up on me big time. Like, suffocate, like could not move, couldn't breathe. Like I got taken to the wood, whatever the phrase is. Like it was
woodshed.
The woodshed. Yeah, I was introduced to the woodshed. And I will never forget it. It was tough. Dogs are excited about the
Everybody's
woodshed.
got dogs.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was an insane circumstance of all of this kind of mounting up to one point where Kasich really just wanted to teach me, like, dude, you got to really embrace this uncomfortable aspect of wrestling. Like, you got to go through this thing, man. And I didn't want to. Like, I was still kind of half in, half out. I packed up my locker after that grind match. I mean, he beat me up. I quit mentally. I was like, I'm done. I don't need this. I got a Wisconsin offer. I can go over to Madison. I got this football thing going for me. I brought all my stuff home, and then I was just kind of sitting there at home just thinking about like family, friends, the decision I made to come back, the teammates that were counting on me, coaches. I'm like, man, I really can't go out like that. Like I can't just quit in the middle of the season, not finish something that you started just because you get taught this lesson. And just because, there's a little bit of adversity doesn't mean that, you can't shy away from that. Like, let's lean into this thing. Let's see how great you can really be. Let's get after this thing. And I brought all my stuff back the next day. I say I quit, but I never missed a practice. And ever since that moment, I would go straight to Kasich, like, let's get better. Let's work. I don't care how hard it is. I don't care what is going to happen today. Like, I want to push to the limit. I want to go there. I got addicted to improvement. Like, I wanted to see how good I could really be. And it kind of showed its face at the state championship. Whistle blows and I get taken down for the first time all season, and I got taken down to my back. And the whole place is going nuts. It's sold out. Everyone's expecting me to, choke, lose again. And it was just in that moment where I looked over to the corner and Kasich and Coach Shevchek and Berner are there. And it's like I'd been taken down to my back a million times before. Like I've already gone through this process. I knew how to respond. I knew how to overcome that adversity within the confines of that match, and ended up responding the way that I was trained to respond because of the practice room. And I really have to thank those guys for training me that way and be able to answer the bell, answer the call to greatness when it came. Because if I were avoidant, if I never really learned that lesson, if I didn't really embrace that or lean into it, I don't think I'd be sitting here being able to say that I won a state championship, which is pretty cool to say.
So I don't know Andy Kasich, but I got friends and people in great. He sounds like he might have been a better athlete than Logan Freilich, but I don't know that for sure.
It's just a stray shot to Logan Freilich there.
Well, his dad's one of my best friends in the world, so I've known
Pop
the kid
Warner and grew up playing with Logan, baseball, everything, man.
Yeah, but I feel like Kasich could take him in a heartbeat.
Kasich could take a lot of people in a heartbeat. I'll tell you,
Alec, who is Andy Kasich? What has he done? Say that.
National champion wrestler, multi-time state champion over at West Appear. Like, anything he's done in combat sports is like.
Isn't he a world? Like, he got
Pan
first
Am
in
champion
worlds.
in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu multiple times. Absolutely.
Crazy.
Yeah, he's
John. He has cauliflower ears. He does.
He has all of them. He has all the cauliflower ear.
Logan doesn't. He's just got red and white striped bib overalls that he wears to football games. But anyway, good family friends. So I'm allowed to take a shot at that when it comes down. But you know what I hear in so much of this first 15, 20 minutes we've talked is kind of the distilling down sort of what greatness becomes. You talk about being process-oriented, not results-oriented. That the Kasich thing, as much as it was physical, it was all about mentally getting over that, right? And it seems like the maturity thing, and not to say people are immature, like, hey, I want to, go to Chuck E. Cheese. I just mean in terms of as we mature as young adults into adults and better athletes. It seemed like you were growing there, but all of a sudden then it clicked. And you're like, this is where it is. So once that takes off, once that happens, how did everything take off? Whether it was the state championship or your college career and even to where you are and where you sit right now.
I think the bigger overarching, where you say you get it, like my big mental block, physical block, everything that was holding me back really came down to the fear of failure. Like, I was afraid of falling short. I was afraid of not being good enough. And that lesson has reared its face a million times over again. You talk about the Kasich lesson. It's probably the first time that I really embraced that lesson and learned from it, and it clicked. And then you kind of transition, you go into college football, you get benched as a junior after you play as a freshman and sophomore. You get benched, and that's how do you respond, and how do you stop this self-sabotage and stop this mental block that you're putting in front of yourself to have a great senior year? Okay, so you take the same lessons, you embody it, you put it out there, you have a great senior year at the University of Wisconsin. All right, now you're going into the draft, and you're doing everything the right way, and then you get told you're undrafted, you're not good enough. And it's like, it just showed up over and over and over again. So I think it's a constant battle of the willingness to test yourself again, to double down again, to bet on yourself again, to not be afraid of falling short of big goals. Because at the end of the day, if you're trying your best, if you're trying to be the best version of yourself consistently, you'll be able to get closer to that potential, which is really what we're trying to do.
My notebook's full, J.A. I've got a lot of notes already. I'm like learning a lot here. That's only segment one. We're back in a second. That's Alec Ingold, Miami Dolphin captain. We're going to talk to him more. The Inside Wisconsin Show.
The Inside Wisconsin Show is brought to you by American Family Insurance, Aaron's Company, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, Capital Credit Union, Festival Foods, Quick Trip, Miller Lite, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, Provea Health, and the University of Wisconsin-Platteville.
Hey, remember to subscribe on YouTube, leave a review, smash the like button, just get with us. All right, J.A., I know you were just home for the last Packers game on Thursday night.
Yep.
I did not get the chance to say hi. You were a busy cat while you were here. However, I was curious to know, have you noticed how easy it is to get a Miller Lite at Lambeau Field these days?
I mean, I always felt like it was easy access. Maybe it's because I don't get carded anymore. So it speeds up the process that I don't have to produce ID that shows that I am indeed 21 years old. But yeah, they're ever finding ways to be more efficient in the delivery at concessions of how to get, the beer in your hands, which I like.
Yeah, it's super easy now. There's these self-serve things. So you walk out to the concourse and you walk in past a person that goes, food, drink, everything that you would want in these self-serve things. And then it's like you're at Festival Foods. You open the door and you grab the beer that you want. You go and check out yourself. They look at your receipt and then you're off and running. Real easy. As a matter of fact, I love that it brings our section together too. I've had great luck at this year. Okay. Where if the guys in front of me say they're going to get a beer, I hold up my Miller Lite and go, hey, one of these.
Sure.
And they buy one. They do it as if they're not $10 a piece. It was really fascinating.
Yeah. But sometimes they're limited, right? Because you can't bring back like 14 when you come.
Two per person.
When it comes to, but it's good to see they're neighborly. But yeah, it's oddly enough, that's how I get beer here at the house. I just open the little door and there's the Miller Lite, and there and the receipt is. I don't worry about it. But yeah, it's very much like the in-home. The in-home situation I have when it comes to watching a Packer game. Yeah. Open the door, look, Miller Lite, beer. John, sit down. Let's see what happens.
The fact that you can open your door and there's Miller Lite definitely means that Colin's back at college.
He's 21. He's 21.
I'm just saying he drank your beer. I'm not suggesting that he was underage drinking.
Yeah, there you go. Sure.
That's good stuff.
All the more for me, as my grandfather used to say.
I'll take it. Make it Miller time all season long. Get Miller Lite delivered right to your door. Visit MillerLite.com/InsideWisconsin, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. They're serving Miller Lite in cans this big, though, at Lambeau, which I don't necessarily.
Yeah, so now I don't look at the back of that. Does that say serving size? Because sometimes you get a bag of peanuts and it's like, oh, it's 100 calories per serving, and then you're like, okay, well, I thought this was a single serving size, and you find out there's 4 servings in there. So if that's per 12 ounces,
Yep, and there's only 24 ounces in this one, but I feel like the one that I got at Lambeau this last game was even bigger than this. Yeah, 2. There's two here.
2 servings.
I just did some math. If you buy 2 of these at Lambeau, it's like doing 2 beers, but you're getting 4. I was told there would be no math. Let's go.
Because the last time we did that, it confused you about how heavy it was. I decided here's why that was a problem for you. Because you thought it was light beer.
No.
You thought, okay, well, it'd be light.
This is cold.
So the light doesn't refer to the weight. It refers to, the calories and things.
Yeah, no. Okay, we're talking about Miller Lite. Got it.
Perfect. Drink responsibly.
We are back in between segments with our guy, Alec Ingold. Time for another top 5 list here on the Inside Wisconsin show, presented as always by Wisconsin's leaders in STEM, the University of Wisconsin-Platteville. UW-Platteville offers healthcare programs focused on serving rural communities here in Wisconsin. Keeping communities healthy helps make them even stronger. Find out more at uwplatt.edu. All right, my turn to quiz John Anderson in today's top 5 list. John, there's a running quiz. Yeah, I know. I actually asked you if you wanted any type of heads up as to what it was going to be. You said no. Here we go.
This is not what you told me it was going to be, but all right, let's see what we got.
It's close. Idea. It's close. It is. It's the same thing. It's close. So I have gone down a trip down memory lane with the whole wrestling thing. I grew up watching the WWF, which is now the WWE. And so I was going, I wonder if I can come up with like my favorite top 5 wrestlers, even though it doesn't mean wrestling to the same as it does Alec Ingold. And then I got to thinking, how can I quiz John? Because there's nothing that I've asked you in the history of this show that you haven't known. And so I'm wondering.
The WWE, you got me.
Do I?
Yeah. Now, if we went to the AWA, which was one of the great precursors.
It is, yeah.
Of the WWE, and there were many guys in the WWE that became stars that started in the AWA. I might have something.
You might have a chance here. I wrote down my top 5 list of wrestlers and their actual names. I'm going to read a name. No chance.
Okay, let's see what you got.
It'll be fun. We'll see. Well, okay, here's some honorable mentions in honor of John Anderson's top 5 list. Terry Boyea. Oh, really?
No.
Hulk Hogan.
Good for. Oh, yeah, that's right. I guess I would have known that from the lawsuits from TMZ or Gawker or whatever.
Yeah, there was
that. Bankrupt him. Yeah, Terry. Yeah, you're right.
Another honorable mention: Richard Flair, Ric Flair.
Yep, that we could have probably pieced together. Yeah.
Started
in the. By the way, started in the AWA.
Oh, there you go. See,
you started in the AWA.
And here's the last one: Randy Poffo.
Is that
Macho Man?
Randy Savage? Yeah.
All right.
Played minor league baseball. Played minor league baseball before he got into wrestling.
See, you know everything about these guys. You just don't.
All
right, so I'm going to give you a minute. You tell me if you know. I'm going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 with my top 5 WWF wrestlers.
Okay.
I don't want to jump on you, but let's just see if you have a chance. Here's number 5, Michael Hickenbottom.
I'm just going to answer Triple H to all of them.
No. Okay, good guess. Michael Hickenbottom is Shawn Michaels. Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels. Do you know the name at least, Shawn Michaels?
No.
Oh, he was really
And good. What's crazy is my old agent, Nick Kahn, left IMG, and so we had to part ways because he was no longer agent to go run the WWE.
Oh.
Crazy, right?
And better, I suppose.
Yeah, Nick Kahn is now the president, CEO, whatever. He's the guy that's not he's Vince McMahon without all the baggage.
Yeah, speaking of lawsuits. All right. Number 4, James Duggan Jr.
Triple H.
I saw Jim Duggan. That was easy. You should have known that. 2x4 in the hell. All right. Number 3,
Triple H.
Yeah. Mark Calloway is the Undertaker, in case you were wondering. Mark Calloway, his name. Apparently, he's a very, very nice gentleman. He just plays a really dark character in the WWE.
Yeah, and a good guy to know if you need embalming.
Number 2 is not Triple H. It's Steve Borden. You're not going to know this. That's Sting. Do you remember the name Sting from the WWF?
No, I remember him from the Police.
I don't know that.
Sting is the lead singer of the Police. You don't know that?
Yeah, I knew that. I thought we were talking about wrestling.
No, I just
number 1.
Who Sting was? I said yes. I just know a different one than you know.
Here's my favorite wrestler of all time. Number 1, James Hellwig, not Triple H,
and not The Rock.
Not The Rock. He grabbed the top rope and he used to do this. His hair
could be MC Hammer.
Yeah, no, he's not a wrestler. This is the Ultimate Warrior. Do you know that name at least?
Yes, I know that name. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm totally proud to fail this quiz.
Well, hey, now you know what I feel like when I go, nope. So the next running joke now as we continue, because there's going to be another quiz where I feel just like you just felt, I'm going to say Triple H. And we're just going to know that it comes back to this moment.
Listen, I know I had to interview Triple H during the pandemic when he was there, when he was doing. Yeah, he was right. Because isn't he Vince's son-in-law?
Yeah. Pretty sure he took the joint over when Vince decided to move on. He
and Nick, and then his wife has run for. I say wife. I know they're still married. It's very odd. I don't want to get into the details of what seems to be a very odd relationship. She ran for office here, not senator. I think she ran for the House. Maybe she ran for senator, but not Stephanie, whatever.
I think it is Stephanie McMahon.
Yeah. I thought that was the daughter, but anyway, yeah. So it's just down the road. By the way, if you want to do that, we can drive. If you come out, forget ESPN. We'll just drive down the road. It's only about 90 minutes from here down in Stamford. You can see the old big WWE flag.
I was unaware.
So
I had no idea it was in your backyard.
It's all right there.
I think it's a sport, even though it's fake. I think it's still a sport. Every once in a while, it shows up on ESPN. So
it's not a sport. You want to have that argument right now?
Nope. I want to go back to wrestling. The real
I'll just say, listen, they're athletic, right? They are great athletes, but it can't be a sport if the outcome is predetermined. Which I guess you could argue then the Jets game's not a sport because you know what's going to happen there too. But anytime we have scripted out how it's going to go and who's going to win, I don't think it can be a sport.
So if an athlete,
They are
I'll think
tremendous
about that.
athletes. There is no doubt they are tremendous athletes. They are, I am not trying to diminish that in the way, but I don't know that it can be a sport if the outcome has been predetermined. And now how we get there is athletic and entertaining, but that's just my thing. I'm not trying to run down it. I watched as a kid, do you know who Kenny Sodbuster J is?
No.
He was the ultimate jobber in AWA. He was always the first guy out, 2.5 minutes, done. Kenny, his nickname was Sodbuster.
I don't even really know what the AWA is, man.
That was the American Wrestling Association, was one of the great players. Based in Minnesota, Vern Gagne, great Minnesota NCAA champ, ran that. So all those guys, like the Hulk started there. Jesse Ventura started there.
Probably Bret Michaels.
Ric Flair was right there. Superstar Billy Graham was under there. That's where Bobby the Brain Heenan started. That's where Mean Gene Okerlund used to come into my television every Saturday night for an hour. You don't know those guys?
I do. I recognize those names, just not.
Do you know the
all of them as
Crusher?
in-depth.
The Crusher was one of the great guys. He used to claim he trained by running from Milwaukee to Green Bay with a keg of beer on his back. How do you not know these characters? These guys.
I was born in '83. That's
you know who Nick Bockwinkel is?
No.
Oh. Right.
Somehow this went to me being quizzed, and now I'm in the no category.
These were the guys in your backyard. These guys
All
are
right,
all in your backyard. Jumping Jim Brunzell, part of the High Flyers with Greg Gagne, who is Vern's son, obviously.
No. Triple H.
Okay. You should just spend a little time. Look at the history of the AWA. You'll be straight. It came out of Minneapolis. It was the biggest thing going, and then eventually WWE stole some of their guys, got bigger. Stole's not the right word. They moved over and it outstripped them. But it's one of the world's most famous professional wrestling things. It was called AWA All-Star Wrestling. It was just called All-Star Wrestling. That was on Saturday night. It was fantastic.
Fairly certain we've said the word wrestling more times in the first 40 minutes of this show than in the first 66 episodes combined.
I'm down with wrestling.
Let's talk some NFL. Let's go to the NFL now. Alec Ingold. Here we go. We are back. The Inside Wisconsin show. Trevor John and Alec Ingold, who, by the way, in case you didn't hear it in segment 1, is actually in the NFL. So we're going to talk a little bit about football now, I suppose. Let's do that, right?
Well, so we compared South Beach to Northeast Wisconsin. There's some differences. I also feel like the Wisconsin offense you ran is a little different than what you're doing now in Miami too. What sides of the spectrum are we operating here?
Yeah, I mean, so practicing at Wisconsin was like 9-on-7, inside running, backer on backer, free state, like collision sport. You are just in the trenches for literally half of the practice. And then when you get to the whole process of the Dolphins, it's like, man, you are motioning. You're watching Tyreek Hill just start and stop faster than any human being on planet Earth. And we have to do like similar assignments. And it's like, it looks completely different. It's embarrassing to put up side by side. I don't like having to watch Tyreek Hill run a motion or run a wheel or run a route. And then the next clip is, okay, number 30 is up there doing the same thing. It's like, it's tough juxtaposition there to be put in, but it's a fun offense to be a part of. We're doing some special stuff right now. Tua's balling out. He's doing great. So yeah, it's cool to be a piece of this pie. And you talk about fullback. I mean, it's completely two different positions right now from Wisconsin to what we're doing with the Dolphins.
Do you lobby to get the ball, or are you just like, why am I wasting my time on this thing?
I was told by a coach early on in my rookie year, he said, you will never ask for the ball, but if they give it to you, just make sure you do something with it. So I'm taking that philosophy for my entire career. I will never ask for a football. If it comes my way, I'll try and do something with it. I'll try and earn your trust to get it back a second time.
Feels like that should be needle pointed, and then you have a frame and just have it in the house.
Yeah, like crochet, knit.
Right. Instead of play like a champion today, just hit that on your way out the door and you'll be fine.
Don't ask for it, but if it comes, do something with it. All right, great. Let's go.
So last episode, we had Derek Watt on. We're on a little bit of a fullback run here. But he, unlike his brothers, actually started on the defensive side, and you started and have stayed on the offensive side. You were almost a quarterback for a little while there. Talk about the transition, I guess, to being a fullback and the difference now in comparison. Because, listen, the word fullback, I was telling John this, we're going to have to tell our kids someday, like, hey, Dad, what's a fullback, right? Because this is just different. So how's that going for you?
Yeah, the word fullback is going to be in the encyclopedias that no one reads anymore, and it's just that's where it's going to live. No, Derek taught me how to play the position really, and it started with like you have to want to block, like you have to want to get on the field, you have to want to put your face on somebody, like you're going to have to embrace this contact. So it was pretty brutal. I'm not going to lie, because I was playing running back kind of at Wisconsin that first year. And then I truly made that switch during spring ball. And Derek's brother, TJ, who happens to be the leading sack leader of the Steelers' history now and is like the all-time great Badger, so on and so forth. He was moving from tight end to linebacker. So that was the guy I got to try and block and learn how to block and learn how to play fullback against every single day. And that did not always look very pretty, but definitely it was like sink or swim. So I had to figure out a way to freaking just try and survive, spring ball there. And from there, it's just like, man, I use so much wrestling technique, body positioning, timing up hit and contact and distributing force throughout your entire body, just trying to do the best I could to lean into blocks, sustain blocks for really good running backs that we had at Wisconsin, and then kind of learned in stride of all the different hand placement, the techniques, the what it took to block, because it's a really selfless position, and you have to learn how to manipulate angles and read defenders and be able to react at the snap of a fingers when there's a blitzing linebacker and he comes through the line and you weren't expecting it and you just got to get the play started. So there's a million different things in the fullback position that kind of go unnoticed or people don't really understand. And Derek was really the first guy to teach me everything there was to know in like a crash course setting when he was a senior and I was a freshman.
So you got to work with TJ. Then you're talking about Tyreek Hill. Like, do you just call in sick on film sessions? Like, why? I don't even want to be a part of that, right? Like, one guy's beating you down, the other guy's running like Buzz Lightyear.
Being coachable is a skill. That is what I've learned. Being coachable is a skill. So I take it to the face. I'm not a very you can't have any pride in this league. Like, everybody gets got. And if you have this ego about you, it's going to be tough to improve. So no, I sit there in the film room, I take it. And then when we get to watch a really cool block, I'm just going to eat that one up too. And it's like, you just kind of take the good with the bad and you try and make sure that there's more good than there is bad.
Right. Because obviously you do enough things well, or you didn't get a job in the league and you wouldn't have been a coveted free agent when you came through that. That said, though, you've been in the league now long enough outside of TJ, like, who has just held a block? You're like, oh, this is going to be a long ass day.
Vontez Burfict introduced me to the league.
Well, that guy was first off, he was crazy.
Yes.
And secondly, he was dirty.
When I was a rookie, he was the captain of the Oakland Raiders defense. And I said, you know what, if I'm going to make this team,
right,
I got to block that dude. Like, everybody has to know that I can block Vontez Burfict because he's the best linebacker. He's going to set the tone. And I took it as like an unprovoked challenge that I was just like, I'm going to do that. And he's like 265 pounds of like filling any run fill as hard as physically possible. Like, he wants to impact the plays. That's how he plays ball. And when you say long days, like, that was a long training camp for me of just trying to like heating packs on the shoulders and the neck. And I'm like, I got to get ready to go tomorrow because it's going to happen all over again. So yeah, I learned how to block in the NFL because of Vontez Burfict, and that is no exaggeration.
Yeah, he's like Taylor Swift fan crazy. Like, he's just
he's a Swiftie.
They essentially threw him out of the league, right? Like, literally, that
was a crazy story. So we are in Indianapolis, and we go from Oakland. So the Oakland Raiders had to travel in 2019. We like doubled everyone else's flight mileage because Oakland has to travel. We were playing the AFC South and the NFC East or something like that, right? So all of our flights are across the country. It's insane. So we pack up 2 weeks worth of clothing from Oakland. We play in Indianapolis. And then right after that game, we're going to fly out to London and we're going to play a home game against the Bears. Problem was Vontez got a targeting call in Indianapolis. And that was like a number, I don't know what number targeting call it was for him, but that was like it for him. Like, it was pretty brutal. And so he's telling coach, he's like, coach, you know, they're going to suspend me indefinitely. Like they're going to kick me out. Like I can't run this risk. And coach is like, well, just in case they don't suspend you, we need you on this flight. Like we need to have you in London because you're a team captain, you're a leader. So he gets on the flight in Indianapolis. We take a 10-hour flight over to London just in order for us to land, figure out that he's suspended indefinitely. He has to find his own flight to go back to the United States and go through that hearing process and everything like that. So that was, as a rookie, that was an insane team to be part of. You had Antonio Brown drama. You had that situation go on. The last year in Oakland, I mean, that was crazy.
Oh, pays to keep your head down sometimes.
Yeah.
Put the blinders on. It was a blessing to be a rookie because I had Hunter Renfrow, Josh Jacobs, Foster Morrow. Like we had a good group of guys that just kind of figured it out and stuck together.
Alec, how old are you, man?
27.
27 years old, quite the head on your shoulders. And as if you haven't accomplished enough yet, you're like, you know what? Let's write a book. I mean, because not got all the time in the world, apparently. The seven Crucibles. Tell the story about what made you do that, man.
It really was starting from, I wrote a letter to the city of Las Vegas. I had torn an ACL. I was a team captain. I wrote an open letter before week 18. They were playing the Chargers, and it was basically a playoff game. The winner got to go to the playoffs. Loser had to stay home. And I just wrote a letter because I had some feeling like, you know, if I'm never able to say anything to the fans of Raider Nation ever again, like I want to put this out there, just kind of share the story of the team from the inside, and made sure to cover it with a couple of guys so that we're all good, and just kind of wanted to share our side of the story of what 2021 was like for us. And I send that out, gets really good feedback. I'm in this ACL thing, and it was very therapeutic for me. Like I'd never written or journaled stuff out like that before. And a lot of people had told me through the ACL process, like that is a great way to go about it, is just get your thoughts out on paper. It helps you stay consistent in your rehab process, all of that. And kind of combining the journaling with writing a letter and kind of putting yourself out there as a writer, and just being kind of vulnerable with an audience and serving the people that you're trying to serve. I figured that the rest of that ACL journey, I wanted to document that real, authentic, genuine emotion that I was going through during that ACL, the lessons that I've learned from Kasich, from coaches, from teachers, from anybody, and put it into a book that somebody else that might tear an ACL, that is going through a tough time, that has that fear of failure, whatever it might be, could have a quick read that they could relate to and feel pretty raw emotion, because I was writing it as I was going through it. So that was the real reason behind the 7 Crucibles, and why why I decided to write that thing when I did. I didn't want to write it after the fact, 10 years from now. I really wanted to be time prevalent and being able to share that while I was going through probably the toughest 9-month rehab process of my life.
So as you enter the rehab process, knowing that you're up against it now, right? I mean, this is not going to be easy. What do you tell yourself and how to get through it? And I'm going someplace with this. John, I didn't tell you this off the air yet. I just found out literally right before we started the show. My oldest son, Rody, fractured his knee. He doesn't know it yet. This kid I don't even know how to put it into words, Alec. He broke his arm 3 times. He's yet to finish a football season. Our hearts are broken that we're gonna have to tell this kid that his season's over again. And I haven't told him yet. I mean, it's 2:30 in the afternoon when we're recording this.
He knows he's got a limp, doesn't he?
He's got a limp, yeah. But
he's got to know something's wrong.
He does, but it's one of those things.
No, I know what you're saying. Totally.
He's definitely limping, and he's going to be pissed. I'm not asking for dad advice, but from an athletic performance standpoint, at some level, you got to go, come on, man. Like, can we not just get through the injuries, get past this stuff? Is there always going to be adversity? I mean, what do you tell a kid like that?
Yeah, I think the first thing you got to say is you got to know that life is hard, man. Like, there's always going to be a piece of adversity. There's always going to be that voice inside your head that's saying, why me? Why this situation? Why is it so hard? What did I do to get in this circumstance? This isn't fair. And it sounds cliche, but if you expect it, if you embrace it, you can lean into it. That voice inside your head, like you're able to discredit it a whole lot quicker. And from an athletic perspective or a performance perspective, I felt like going through that rehab process allowed me to slow down, learn my body, feel my body, understand what I could or couldn't do in space, and be able to master that. Like, I wanted to be like Darren Waller so freaking bad, and that dude plays tight end, and he was jumping up for passes and all that. And, I was running as fast as I could to try and keep up with a guy like that. And you learn that you can't run routes like that. You got to run routes the way that your body can run routes. And I think that through injuries, through those processes of going a little too fast, a little too reckless, you kind of learn to how you're able to control your body in space. So there's always a silver lining, and it's always tough. And you want to fight that urge to just feel sorry for yourself. But if you can train yourself to find that silver lining, if you can find that edge that you were chasing, if you can find some sort of positive from every single negative, it's just going to train you for future events, for future issues, for future problems, because they'll never slow down, they'll never stop. And that shouldn't scare you or deter you. That should be like, man, I'm training myself. I'm improving myself in one way or another. And for this phase in life, when you have a knee injury like that, man, find a way to improve, whether that's mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever that is, and then allow yourself to write down goals, and then step by step, figure out the discipline, the will, all those intangibles to be able to overcome that and become a better version of yourself after the injury than you were before.
Sound advice.
Have you written your Walter Payton Man of the Year Award speech yet? Because I feel like you should get started on it.
I got nominated for that a couple years ago, and I think that was the year Russell Wilson won. And his speech was outstanding.
Oh my goodness. Which would be an amazing thing, right? That's one of the NFL's highest honors. Tell me what the honor of being the 2002 National Angel in Adoption honoree means to you.
Man, that was a special moment. It was something that was really shocking. I kind of went out on a limb, was a little bit more vulnerable with becoming a national spokesperson for Adopt US Kids, my story of being being adopted myself, and just trying to inform others of the possibility of adoption, of advocating for those kids that are in foster care, to be able to educate them a number of different ways. So that's where the Ingold Family Foundation really came to be. And we've been doing really cool events ever since. Financial literacy camps for these kids, football camps for the kids, playing Madden, informing future parents on how to listen to their kids and this and that. So there's been a million different things we've done in the community, and to get a congressional acknowledgement or award for the work that we've done in just a couple of years with this foundation was shocking. It was validating. It was like, okay, we're doing something special, and the things that we are doing is truly impacting the community we're trying to serve. So it was extremely motivating to know that everything that you're putting into the community and trying to advocate for those kids in that platform, it was a really cool experience to go down to Washington, D.C. and share space with those people.
For people who want to help, we think of adoption as big. We think adoption, I got to have a child. And things that you have done, things I have learned. Kenny Mayne is a guy who just is so community oriented. And I was reading something you had said about these kids sometimes have to move from home to home in garbage bags. And we cleaned out our basement. I had all these suitcases, and Kenny Mayne's like, you should take those to one of these places with foster homes, because just the idea of kid packing a suitcase makes him feel like he has more worth than that if he's in a garbage bag. Or I have suits that sadly I cannot fit into anymore. And it's like, take that to some place so that somebody's homeless who can wear that to a job interview. And so we think of adoption as big because it's always a kid. Give me other little things that people can do that can help that process. That doesn't mean you have to take on a child, but you can support and help make lives easier for those young people.
Yeah, the bag thing is huge. And that's a big movement that is going on now, is just trying to find any duffel bag, any suitcase, like you said, so that there's some sense of ownership. There's some sense of pride about it. So we've done backpack drives in the past. So there's a number of different backpack drives you could be a part of. Toy drives, obviously, during the holidays coming up, throughout Thanksgiving, Halloween. There's a number of different group homes. You can go to Adopt US Kids, and they'll have your region and different group homes that they know and trust and serve that could use toy drives, donations to that aspect of things. But also, I think like the microscope version of that is having a conversation with somebody, like having a conversation about family, and not just like a, hey, how you doing at work? Like checking up on other people's families. You'd be shocked to understand how many people have adopted, are thinking about adoption, and just kind of reaching out that olive branch of having a real conversation about family, wherever that might be. You'd be very interested to kind of figure out the people that you're around and the amount of different unique situations and circumstances that everyone's really coming from.
Yeah. Everybody has a story. Amen. Johnny, what were you say?
No, John Butchiegross and his brother and his sister, they're all three of them Catholic Adoption Services. I didn't know that till I was well into my working with Butchie a long time. And then when his father passed away, he wrote he wrote more, but just when he announced in this very small tweet. But it was, it's amazing how touching you can get in 400 characters with Butchie and how much, what that meant to him and the love. And I was not adopted, but I had a stepfather after my dad died, who was the most significant person in my life. Obviously my mom, but it's amazing what love can do. And it's, you can lift a lot of weights, but you want to talk about powerful is, when you help in those ways. And it's really remarkable. And I'm sure there's power in the way you shared your story there too, Alec, too, because whether we like it or not, and Charles Barkley, it was kind of misconstrued when he goes, I am not a role model. He made that big campaign, but the idea was like, don't leave it to me. I can be, and I should be, but that's not my first job. My first job is I play basketball. When you do that, but it still takes a lot. And I'm sure people see you, Alec, and go, wow, that guy's in the NFL. You're a beacon there in a lot of ways other than just, carrying the ball.
Appreciate that, man. Yeah. That vulnerability, the authenticity that you can connect one-on-one with another human being, I think breaks down so many barriers or facades, or it allows people to connect with other people. Right. So whether that's being able to relate to an adoption story or what people are going through in whatever is going on in life, to break down those barriers and have real conversations, like that's that power of love. That's being able to tell somebody you love them and reaching out and knowing that impact is real and that you feel it.
Man, powerful stuff. We're going to wrap it up with Alec Ingold in just a bit. He's in for one with this lightning round, I think. We'll spruce it up a little bit when we get back. That's powerful stuff, though, Alec. Thanks for sharing that, man. All right, we're back in a second. The Inside Wisconsin Show.
The Inside Wisconsin Show is brought to you by American Family Insurance, Aaron's Company, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, Capital Credit Union, Festival Foods, Quick Trip, Miller Lite, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, Provea Health, and the University of Wisconsin-Platteville.
Hey, remember to subscribe on YouTube, leave a review, smash the like button, just get with us. Festival Foods MVP deck. I've sat up there. Have you sat up there before? Do you know what I'm talking about at Lambeau Field?
I have not sat there.
It's amazing.
It's high.
It is high in the south end zone, but the view, as people would say, there's not a bad seat in the house at Lambeau Field, especially when you have an inside area that serves you food and beer. It's astounding how well Festival Foods and Lambeau Field have a relationship. Festival Foods, the official grocery and tailgating headquarters of the Green Bay Packers. There's the Festival Foods MVP deck. Some of my friends got some tickets up there. We were waving to them from our seat on Thursday night. I feel like you were sitting up behind us. I think I asked you where you were one time, and you were up there, but they were up there, and we were 14 rows up, and it was a disaster. Let's not talk about that. But if you want to go to a game and win Packers tickets, two of them in the Festival Foods MVP deck, I have an idea. Text MVP to 78402. I'll say it again, MVP to 78402. Of course, carrier messages and data rates may apply. Doesn't matter. You might be going to a Packer game at the Festival Foods MVP deck. Go there. Text MVP 78402. It's an awesome time up at the Festival Foods MVP deck. What deck were you on Thursday night? Having birthday cake or something? What'd you tell me? I was
way, way, way up. I was in a suite on the 700 level.
That's up there.
Right. So basically, I don't remember that, a big full moon. I was about 7 rows from the moon. But they were great seats, right? You talk about that. It's so funny about, and this is probably way out of our spot for Festival Food, but there's always, every seat's really good, right? There's no obstructed view. There's no, it keeps getting higher because as I was sitting up there looking down, and my usual seats are in row 11. This was a gold package game, so I didn't have my seat. So usually I'm in row 11. So like we felt way up. But as you look down, like you can see the original bowl. Then, the railing, and there's about, I don't know, 10 or 12 rows behind them.
Yeah, the Brown County seats.
And then they start with the decks of the club seats. And it's staggering that, and I lived both sides of that. When I was a kid seat, I told you, when I had my kid season ticket, I was in row 1. And then when it turned to adult seat, I was all the way up in the very last row, which was row 64. And then they built all the additions since then. So I've had tickets in the first row and in the last row.
I also heard on SportsCenter the other night that you had tickets to the kids section at Lambeau Field for $2 a ticket.
That's how I first got. That's why I have a season ticket now. Is because they started this kids section.
No way.
And all these yokels I talk about, Byron, everybody, we all sat in this kids section. And because I think they were worried the team was not great, that they were going to lose fans in the sellout thing. So it was just this one section, which is now in on the visitor sideline, all the way down where the Green Bay, that ends on where it says Green Bay. And it was just all the way up. And when you turned 18, it became an adult ticket. So that's how I ended up with I have my 2 season tickets. My sister has season tickets. We got them well before my mother, who moved in 1967, didn't get hers till like 92. And they were $2 a ticket. Yeah, and I can still see Tommy Brifchinsky and I walk into a game one time, and he paid me for the tickets. Here were 8 quarters.
Wow.
It was, yeah. And then the NFL went, wait a minute, we can sell all these for 113? Hello, kiddos. You can watch Nickelodeon, or you can watch you can watch something else. So, yeah, it was crazy.
Awesome. All right. All the way back to Festival Foods. Click on the G at festfoods.com. There's the information about the MVP deck. MVP 78402. Go, Pack. Go. All right, we're back to wrap it up on the Inside Wisconsin show with Alec Ingold, Trevor John, 2 for me, and then the JA Lightning round. Here's my first one. Alec, you don't have to tell me the truth. Have you watched the Inside Wisconsin show before?
I watched the Derek Watt segments, and I was approached a couple months ago, actually, about an opportunity or just getting informed with the Inside Wisconsin show. So I've watched a few times. I wouldn't say the platform, like the actual full service, but I follow along the clips like no other.
There you go.
I appreciate that. So you might know this thing about Joe Thomas that's been haunting me for the last 2.5 years. There's a guy that you probably have a pretty good relationship there in the Dolphins. His name is Darrell Bevel. So do you guys ever sit down and rap about how just amazing he was when he played for the Badgers?
Bev is a hilarious addition to our coaching staff. He brings a very dry sense of humor. And so when coaches are trying to rev him up or whatever, we'll throw up Bev highlights, we'll throw up Rose Bowls, we'll throw up all that stuff. And he gets really embarrassed. He puts the head down, but he also is like, I don't know, man. It's pretty cool to it's just little stuff like that, right? I get to play catch with Darrell Bevel every pregame. Like, he warms up, he's throwing it, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're doing a little pat and go session, but like, that's just me and him playing catch right before we're about to go play. And he'll if I sling one a little quick to me or to him, he's gonna fire that thing right back, right on my chin, like, with a little bit of gas on it.
Oh, that's fun, man. He was a childhood icon in my days. 94 Super Bowl. I think he was a little bit.
I think you're older than he is right now. Like, you're at 27. He was older than you when he was in college.
There's that.
Right? I think he was like, I don't know, he was 29 or something when he graduated.
That's wild.
All right, last one. Did you grow up wanting to be a Packer? And obviously, we asked Derek Watt the same question. He said, of course. But what was it like for you actually growing up in Green Bay?
I would say, yeah. I mean, I wanted to be the Packers quarterback one day. Like, that's what you grow up doing. The vision of, like, we talked about breaking down barriers in the last segment. Like, that was like, those were superheroes at the Piggly Wiggly, right? Like, they were right there. They were accessible. Like, you could see that. You go to church with them. I just thought it was the coolest thing to have Ahman Green come down and, you know, be at school talking about something or whatever the case was. Donald Driver going to his radio show, William Henderson, Randall Cobb. Like, I remember seeing all these guys growing up and just looking up to them big time. It was really cool to grow up there.
All right, lightning round time, Jay.
So usually, you know, I have like 10 or 12, right? This is a ridiculous list. So we're just going quick, okay? We don't have to go quick. You're in Miami, right? Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. How many NBA championships did LeBron win with the Heat?
2.
2 is correct. How do you feel about the Bucks getting Damian Lillard and not Miami?
I love it. I love it.
Great. Favorite Packer?
This isn't very fast. I'll say William Henderson.
Look at the fullback stick together. Thick as thieves, use guy. I asked you who's held a block. Oh, explain this. How come in high school you were 6'2", and at Wisconsin you were 6'2", but in the combine you were 6'1", and now you're listed as 6'1"?
You shrink with age. Everyone knows that. The posture just kind of goes down a little bit.
Right.
I'll be 5'11" by the time I retire.
You're 67, not 27. Listen, I had Mike Devlin, who was a center for the Cardinals for a long time in the late 80s. And he's like, when I started at Iowa, I was a guard and I was 6'4". Now I'm a center. I've been in the NFL 10 years and I'm 5'11 and a half.
Yep,
beat down. Your 40 time in high school was listed as 4.63. The combine you ran 4.89. How much head start do you need against Tyreek Hill in a 40?
I need 30 yards. I need all of them. Honest answer, I would probably need like 17 to 20 yards.
Like, how fast is that guy?
It's so quick. That's the thing. Like, he is fast. He'll run 22 miles an hour, but he'll run 22 miles an hour like that. Like, it doesn't take more than 6 steps to get up to speed. It's insane.
In comedy, we call this a callback. How fast then is Logan Freilich?
We're putting him. He's over 5 seconds.
Over 5. I love that. Do you have more career rushing attempts or receptions?
In college?
No, in the pros.
I got to have more receptions.
46 receptions, 23 rushing attempts. I like the 2-1 ratio. This is insider information. True or false? Pop Warner coaches once made you use a pickup truck as a blocking sled.
100% true. And he got in trouble for that.
How old were you? You just a bunch of little kids pushing away in F-150 or what?
We loved it. It was the best. It was like the grittiest thing. We were just pushing it up the hill and letting it would roll back down. It was awesome.
And no lives were lost? Nobody was maimed in this?
We were all happier and healthier for it and a better football team.
Did John Gruden ever call Spider 2Y banana?
Man, yeah. Oh, yeah, man.
I tell you what, man. That's a hell of a thing. Where's the best place I should get a fish fry on Friday night in Green Bay?
Watersfront.
Okay. I was going to go Eddie Whips, maybe Merrick's, but I'm down with that. Chili, spaghetti, no spaghetti?
No spaghetti.
But you ever tried to explain that to people outside of Wisconsin why you have spaghetti?
I've never had to explain that to people outside of Wisconsin.
Thank God. When I say booyah, do you think soup or Stuart Scott?
I think soup.
Oh, wow.
Or a semi-pro baseball team.
All right. And the final one is just, a couple weeks ago, final score, Bayport 70, Green Bay Southwest 0. What the hell, man?
Nothing personal. It's just business. FRCC conference play starts. The boys got to show out.
You guys rolling. They scored 70. 2 days later, you scored 70. Nobody scores 70 in the NFL. That, by the way, is ridiculous.
That was a very insane. We couldn't stop moving the ball. It was a fun time to play ball there.
Amazing.
Fantastic. Hey, thank you so much for your time. I know we bled over a little bit, but honestly, I feel like we've been really well restrained. Otherwise, we could be here forever. I've decided I'm 58, but when I grow up, I totally want to be you.
That's an honor and a privilege, and I appreciate that, Jay. And
I'll work really hard to get blocking. Butch got mad at us because in SportsCenter we never show screens, right? Like, why don't you show a guy setting a pick? And so we'll try to see if we can get fullbacks blocking on the show as well, because we feel like we know that's an integral part of what's happening.
That would be insane if we could get that going. That would be.
It's a good challenge to see if we can get Alec doing that, because you do have a little partialness to the old Green Bay when you're on the SportsCenter set. So if something happens from back home, you're usually on top of it. So lay somebody out, Alec. Let's do it.
There you go.
All right. I'm up.
Thanks, brother.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
When I grow up, I want to be Alec Ingold. That was a great way to close it out, J.A. He's an impressive young man.
Listen, yeah, like what's not to like? And, He's one of these guys that I have no doubt we will hear a lot of, even after he is done with football, right? That is a career show. That's a young man's game, especially where you take a pounding like he does in that position. But I have no doubt that he is well prepared for whatever comes after that. Yeah, just a really impressive guy, ship to shore. And I liked how he's like, listen, I wasn't always like this. I liked the immediate results. I like the pin. I like all the glory that came, and that, there's got to be more substance to that. And he's a man that certainly is of substance.
Get your hands on that book, The 7 Crucibles. I got the Audible version, so I'm listening to it. I did have a giggle because Alec is not the narrator. He has somebody narrating it for him. And you can tell that nobody was on the Wisconsin staff that checked the old pronunciation guide, because Alec is from Suamico, Wisconsin. I heard that. I'm like, nope, Suamico. But that doesn't surprise me because they're not easy here in the old Dairyland. Yeah.
Listen, I did a voice book. I did an audio book for a guy, and I told him, I said, to prevent every day, I'm going to need pronunciations from some of these people, even if it seems strange. Yeah. Listen, Thomas's can be Tomas and all that. I'm just like, I need to know, because there's nothing that gives you away faster. That you don't know where you are, what you're doing. Likewise, there's nothing that places you quicker than if you know that, New Berlin's not Berlin. So there's both sides to that. Or if you know that there's Swamico and Little Swamico.
Exactly.
They're different places.
And then there's Howard Swamico, which is just a whole different. Yeah. All right. Speaking of Swamico, speaking of John's homeland here in the Green Bay area, another tale from John, Wisconsin. What do you got this time?
Well, as you know, a lot of times I can't always be John, Wisconsin. Sometimes I leave the borders, some of those things. But I am excited, the Brewers becoming the division champs, all by knocking out the Cubs. Like, some things are just more glorious than others.
Yes,
as they do that. And when I was a kid, baseball was my favorite thing, whether it was to play or to watch or to copy down stats. And the Brewers were amazing, and to see them with Bambi's Bombers. So that was my thing. And now we're in baseball postseason. And this is one of those things that kind of, we think, what is working at ESPN like? And you try to explain it's kind of a unique deal. And sometimes it's just you sit at a desk and it's late nights and it's not great, but the paycheck's good and blah, blah. But here are things that happen in my life that can only happen at ESPN. Like, they're not happening over at one of the big 4 or big 5, how many other accounting firms are left. And so many years ago, Linda Cohn and I were doing a show, and we were in the newsroom and we're watching, and baseball is starting, but on ESPN Classic, as we are here in October, they are showing the 1988 World Series. That's game 1. That is Kirk Gibson's famous home run against the A's off Dennis Eckersley. Right?
Okay, got it.
Look who's coming to the plate. Is only at bat in the whole thing.
Yeah.
So we're watching this, and he's coming up to the plate, and we know what's happening, but we're still watching because it's intent. And a voice behind us, right, because says, "Ooh, this is great. I was at this game." And so I turn around, and it's Oral Hershiser, the Dodger pitcher who did not pitch in that game, but won game 2 and then game 5 and was the MVP. But that's just crazy shit that happens at ESPN. There's this voice. He's just looking at the and just couldn't have been more casually than anything. You're like, "Ooh, this is great. I was at this game." Like he's just a joke. Dude, you were in the dugout for this game. You were part of the mob scene that went out and got him.
You talked about
things that just happens at ESPN that, those are the things that you're like, okay, as workplaces go, and I'm sure everybody has some version of that, but you're just like, wow, what a place that I work in. What a crazy, I know I'm going to be up till 3 a.m., but you know what? That just doesn't happen every day, and it just doesn't happen everywhere.
I will never forget the tour that you gave Amanda and I when we came out to visit you. And what I mean, I'll never forget is I don't remember any of it. Thank God for pictures, because I blacked out the whole time. It's just surreal. I mean, I know you don't take it for granted and you have these great stories, but sitting next to Stephen A. Smith in the ESPN CAF, wasn't prepared for that. Didn't know that was going to happen.
You'll be happy to know that ESPN's campus, while not open to public tours, has recently, in the last few days, reopened now for friends and family tours.
Ew.
Yep.
See you next
week.
There
you go. So, but for the better part of 3.5 years, almost 4 years, we were closed. We've never had public tours. That used to be one of my favorite Kenny Mayne home run calls, guy will hit a home run. He goes, and a reminder, ESPN does not offer public tours. Just total nonsense, but that was him, right? What he goes. But now, friends and family, we can get some people in. But yeah, Oral Hershiser. Oh, yeah, I was at that game.
That's awesome.
Crazy.
Well, thanks to Alec Ingold for joining us on this episode. Lots more to come. And so many more of you, by the way, are now viewing. It doesn't surprise me that Alec follows along. J.A., our subscribers in the last 7 days doubled on YouTube. So in case you haven't yet, click subscribe. Follow along with literally everything we have going here at the Inside Wisconsin Show. We're doing something right, man. Positivity wins, and it's not the easy way out.
Patriotism. We just back our own.
It is patriotism. That is exactly it. All right. For John, I am Trevor. As you were, Wisconsin. We'll see you next time. Remember to subscribe on YouTube. Leave a review. Smash the like button. Just get with us.
The Inside Wisconsin Show is brought to you by American Family Insurance, Aaron's Company, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, Capital Credit Union, Festival Foods, Quick Trip, Miller Lite, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, Provea Health, and the University of Wisconsin-Platteville.
Shut up and sit down.